I am absolutely delighted, particularly as a Canadian, to be sitting here with the Irish Prime Minister. As you might know, Canadians are quite fond of the Irish. And Prime Minister...
A lot of Irish in Canada.
A lot of Irish. Well, you just told me a really great story why, and it's a really good story of welcome, but we don't have time for it today, so look it up, okay? It's brilliant. And what a way to kick everything off. Like, the conversation so far has been absolutely exciting. I hope you've all learned something today and taken something away that you can carry on to conversations you're having tonight with friends and peers. It's a really important day. Prime Minister, we are speaking at a time when Africa holds the key to the world's renewable future, yet still receives just a fraction of the global clean energy investment. Ireland's own energy transition has transformed the country's trajectory, and today's commitments could change trajectories for millions more. So if I can, I'd love to begin with what Ireland sees as its role in turning the moment into a real, tangible action.
Well, fundamentally, Ireland has undergone a significant transformation in terms of renewable energy, particularly onshore in the last 2 to 3 decades. Sometimes now wind can account for close to 50% on a given day in a given month, not all of the time. Our next big play will be offshore wind. We hope to do 5 gigawatts by 2030, but 37 gigawatts offshore wind by 2050. And what's interesting is the integration of renewables into the grid has been something that Ireland has worked very hard on, and we've been quite effective from a technological perspective in doing that. So if in that way then, many people originally were skeptical about renewables and so on, or when the wind doesn't blow and so on, but we've worked hard at the technologies around underpinning the renewable as a component part of your energy mix. Now, we still import too many fossil fuels, so we want to replace that over time. And the key will be renewables. And we work in Africa a lot. Our development aid program, about 1.7 billion now, goes most of it into Africa. But we work with many individual countries. We work in renewable Lesotho, for example. We work in Sierra Leone, Mozambique, in terms of delivering and supporting financially renewable projects. And wind does work. Now, in Ireland, we're very windy. We've one of the windiest locations in the world, but we're now turning wind into energy.
And it is extremely ambitious. I think it's actually probably Europe's biggest project, isn't it, in that sense?
I'm not sure. I mean, there are others quite as big as well, to be fair. Scotland is quite strong in the United Kingdom, and we learn a lot from Scotland. The big issue is cross-fertilization of ideas, know-how, and capacity. I was just at a function earlier with companies involved in the renewable space, and it really is about sharing knowledge, ideas, in terms of how to get the grid upgraded and so on, the connection to the grid, extremely important. And a lot of companies have developed a lot of niche technologies to facilitate the integration of renewables in a sustainable, secure way for the long term onto the grid. And that's something that I think the G20 and this initiative can unlock, if you like, that fertilization of ideas, cross-fertilization of ideas. That really is the big... And of course, then, the European Union and Ursula has announced, given the strength. The European Union commitment has been very strong here. Ireland is a member state of the EU. We're strongly enthusiastic about the Commission's approach and direction of travel, but also the redevelopment banks. We've heard some of them, the EIB, reconstruction banks, the World Bank. All of those, we need to really look at the model of how we can release additional capital to facilitate the investment in Africa.
No, that's brilliant. Cross-fertilization, I like that term. And great collaboration. And to that point, Ireland's renewable transition, especially in offshore wind, has moved incredibly fast. Were there key policies that unlocked that progress? And I'd also love to ask, how can those lessons be adapted to support African countries in their own terms, not just a copy and paste type model?
Regulatory certainty is very important, and legislative certainty, so that the investment community know the landscape, not just today, but for the next decade. And we had to learn a lot on that journey, and still are learning, and we continually talk to others who are doing it also to pick up ideas. the planning process. And what is key is to bring communities with you. In the early days, people kind of went ahead without dialogue with the local community, because there can be issues. And there has to be a community gain. So in all our wind farms now, there is a community gain for the community, which can manifest itself in sporting facilities, community facilities, enhancements to the public realm in a given location. That is important. Likewise, in terms of the offshore wind developments, we're working on that now. The other issue is governments need to engage in genuine partnership with private sector industry. For offshore wind, in my own office now, we've established what we call a clearinghouse to bring industry in to, if you like, to enable them to have a go at us and say, look, if you could only do A, B, and C, we'd be doing this faster, or here are the pitfalls. And government has to protect the citizen, of course, but that idea of not having a gulf or a barrier, the shared objective is the same. Renewable energy will help climate, helps purify the air. I mean, it's a public health win, which doesn't often get said enough, in my view. And so therefore, there's an agreed agenda here in the overarching sense. But the working through of that does demand a lot of engagement between private sector and the state and the public sector, between your planning processes. They need to be streamlined, made more effective. And that we still find that challenging. So, you know, one has to learn all of the time on this journey. But what is absolutely clear is we have to do it in as quick a way as we possibly can, because the world can't wait and the planet can't wait.
Absolutely, and I love that it's a people-first type way of thinking, because at the end of the day, you know, we're doing this for people. People are at the heart of the planet, right? So thank you so much. That was brilliant. Everyone, if we could please give the Prime Minister another round of applause.
Thank you very much, Anita.